Hey guys, what's up? It's Biscuit Boo Horror Reviews. I'm here with a Blu-ray DVD collection update, kind of Black Friday haul video. Um, oh, all right, let's just dive right in. This is mainly stuff I bought on Black Friday. There's a couple things in here that I didn't buy on Black Friday, but I will be starting, as always, with the Blu-rays and DVDs. Starting off, I got some bootleg Blu-rays from a VHS group I'm in. I got Ken Russell's The Devils. It's a really great 70s kind of historic horror exploitation art house film directed by Ken Russell, who directed the Who's rock opera Tommy, as well as the body horror film Altered States, and the weird kind of vampire fantasy movie Lair of the White Worm. Devils is one of the greatest movies ever made, in my opinion. It's kind of a shame that this has never been released on home media in the US, because this movie is quite the masterpiece, in all complete honesty. If you haven't seen this movie, try to seek it out. There's no US release of it, so you gotta buy bootlegs or download it. This is the most uncut version of the movie. It's an HD transfer of it, and it looks really, really great. Next, I got another rather controversial one. It is Song of the South. Don't want to dwell on this too long. This movie is horrifically racist. It's like the only Disney movie that the Walt Disney Company wants to keep under wraps, and for that reason alone, I kind of wanted to get it. Also, it was only like $5. I don't really like this movie that much. It's really racist and awful, but I kind of wanted to get it because it's rare, and how many people can say, hey, I have a Blu-ray of the HD, transfer of the 35mm film negative of Song of the South. So I kind of got it for that, and again, only like $5. Next is one I don't know too much about. This is an Oshima Nagisa film. For those of you who don't know, I'm a big fan of Japanese filmmaker Oshima Nagisa. He did, most famously, he's well known for his film In the Realm of the Senses, which is a really good kind of psychological horror drama film about a geisha having an affair with the owner of an inn she works at. There is also a film he did called Empire of Passion, which is a really great kind of traditional ghost story. And I have his movie here, Dear Summer Sister. This has never been released in the US. I don't even think it's ever been released with like English subs ever, but it is an HD version of the film with English subs. Again, from 1979. This is like a film dark, like comedy drama he did that has to do with like Japan adjusting to life after World War II. That it's a metaphor for that, but it's a film about like incest. Yeah. Dear Summer Sister, not 1979, 1972. Dear Summer Sister from Oshima Nagisa. Get to the Blu-rays now. I guess we'll go with the one Blu-ray I didn't like buy a part of the other Blu-ray I didn't buy part of a sale. This is one I really liked from last year. Better Watch Out. This is a really, really good kind of holiday horror comedy. It's kind of fucked up in a way. For me to explain why it's fucked up and to explain why there are a lot of people who hate this movie would spoil it, so I'm not going to say much other than it's a kind of, sort of home invasion psychological horror film. This was really cheap, like $8, and I caught it on streaming before, and I really liked it, so I figured $8 was kind of worth it for this, because this movie is actually pretty good. It's directed by Chris Peckover, who did Undocumented, which was a found footage horror film that's on my most disturbing movies list. Okay, on to the titles I bought from the Severin sale. At first I got Terminator 2, well, shocking dark with the Terminator 2 slipcover, which they retired apparently after the sale. So I'm happy I got it. Watched this one after finally getting my hands on it. I've been wanting to see this movie for a very long time, ever since I heard there was a weird alien Terminator hybrid ripoff film from Italy directed by the guy who did fucking Hell of the Living Dead and Rats Night of Terror. And yeah, let me tell you, this movie is absolutely fucking bananas. And if you haven't seen it, you should really see it. Like, if you like Italian exploitation, and if you like, weird bad movies, this is up there. This is like up there with, like Raw Force. It's one of those movies that's like so wild and just ridiculous and stupid, and it's kind of great. But yeah, this rip-off unofficial sequel to Terminator 2 that's more of a rip-off of Alien than anything else. Well, Aliens than anything else. Next, I got a couple of the Blood Island movies. I wanted to buy the Blood Island collection box set, but I just didn't want to spend... I didn't want to get it off the website, because, I would have been willing to buy it off the website, but I just didn't want to have to deal with shipping, so I was like, I'll grab it during the holiday sale. It won't be on sale, but I'll at least be able to get it. And then it sold out on their website, and it was only available on Amazon for like $70. So I was just like, screw it. I'll just grab the two titles from the box set that I mainly wanted to get the box set for, which is Brides of Blood. I reviewed this one on my channel. This is a very, very, very good, not necessarily good, but very interesting, entertaining, wild exploitation film from the Philippines. It's a kind of monster movie. Comes with reversible cover art, which is nice to always include that, although I don't know if I like the reversible... I don't think I really like the reversible cover art as much. But yeah, it's the first entry in the Blood Island series of films, and this one is definitely worth checking out if you like weird exploitation films. It's a surprisingly crazy, violent and nudity-filled movie for it being a movie from the late 60s. On top of that, we have Mad Doctor of Blood Island, which is the sequel. This one has never been released uncut until this Blu-ray, which is great. This movie is part of the Section 3 Video Nasty list, which is essentially a list of just extra titles on the Video Nasty list that aren't... I think they aren't up for prosecution or anything. They're just kind of, there. Again, reversible cover art. I kind of like the cover art for this one. Tomb of the Living Dead. I think that's Screaming Zombie Face. That's totally fucking reminiscent of I Drink Your Blood, which is another great exploitation film from back in the day. But yeah, this movie features more gore than I Drink Your Blood does. And also, this movie has a cool, when it was released in theaters, it had a cool little gimmick where people would get little packets of green goo, and you would have to drink it after saying the oath of green blood before the movie, so that way when you watched the movie you wouldn't get infected with the green blood virus. And I had heard they were actually giving out a little kind of recipe card that had the recipe for a mixed drink that they actually came up with based on the green blood. But I only thought they were giving it away with the box set. I guess they were giving it away if you bought the release. So, nice little card, little recipe card that features the drink on it, and the entire green blood oath on the other side. Very cool. I got the films of Frederick R. Friedel. Haven't seen either of these movies before, Axe or Kidnapped Co-Ed. I mainly bought it because I know Axe is, on the Video Nasty list. And it's a movie I've been meaning to see for a long time. And I watched Axe, and I'm actually kind of blown away by, even though it's a very cheap movie, by how actually interesting and creepy and good Axe is for a movie that only runs for about 67 minutes. And for it being this movie that I've heard, pretty much nothing but negative things about. I've heard that Axe is like immensely boring and uninteresting, but it's actually a very cool little atmospheric kind of crime thriller horror flick. The other movie, Kidnapped Co-Ed, I watched the other night, isn't as good as Axe in my opinion, but it's still very interesting and it's got some entertaining moments. Kind of reminds me of like a kind of almost a Natural Born Killers kind of thing. People on the road doing kind of a mass murder kind of thing, I guess. I don't know how to describe it, but yeah, that one's interesting. And this also includes the film Bloody Brothers, which is essentially both of these movies edited into one movie, and that Friedel did because he lost the rights to both of these movies. But yeah, fucking this is some really good shit, and the soundtrack to Axe is really great too. And what's cool about this release, and this is something Severin has done multiple times, is it includes the soundtrack to both Kidnapped Co-Ed and Axe with this little card with the track listing and the original poster artwork for Axe under the original title Lisa Lisa. But still, Axe is actually a surprisingly really good kind of horror film. Another video nasty, Bloody Moon, Jess Franco's Bloody Moon. This is probably the best Jess Franco film I've ever seen. I've only seen a handful of his movies. I've seen like his bad zombie movie, Oasis of the Zombies, and I've seen Vampiros Lesbos, and I think no, I think Joe D'Amato directed Porno Holocaust. I'm pretty sure Jess Franco directed The Erotic Rights of Frankenstein, which I've seen, which is a pretty interesting one. Yeah, but Jess Franco is an interesting director, and this is essentially his take on the slasher genre, and this is actually a movie I actually liked quite a bit. It's pretty violent, sleazy, kind of laughably bad, but still very enjoyable slasher flick. That is pretty enjoyable, especially with the bad English dub that's on it. On to the next big package. This is what arrived in the mail today, is my package from Vinegar Syndrome. This is the first time I've ever ordered anything from Vinegar Syndrome, and I ordered a lot of stuff from Vinegar Syndrome. So I got a couple of these double feature drive-in DVD collection things. First one is the Jekyll and Hyde Portfolio and A Clockwork Blue. I've never seen either of these movies, but I wanted to get this mainly for Jekyll and Hyde Portfolio, because I've heard that is a pretty, like, sleazy, fucked up kind of slasher sexploitation film. As for A Clockwork Blue, I know this is a movie, some kind of weird sexploitation comedy that the same director did, like the year after A Clockwork Orange came out, and again, mainly want to get this for Jekyll and Hyde Portfolio, because I hear that's a really interesting kind of sleazy slasher. Next is this double feature of The Executioner Part 2 and Frozen Scream. I've seen The Executioner Part 2, which is a pretty interesting, bad kind of crime exploitation thriller. I have not seen I have not seen Frozen Scream, which is on this, but I do know Frozen Scream, actually, I think the movie I want to pull off my shelf is blocked. Yeah, fuck it. But Frozen Scream, I know scenes from Frozen Scream were edited into the shot-on-video film Escape from the Insane Asylum, which is a really awful movie. But Frozen Scream, I'm pretty sure is a video nasty. It's a movie I've been interested in seeing for quite a while, mainly because I hear it's really awful, and I hear it's a pretty interesting, kind of cheap, gory, fever dream zombie movie. And so yeah, figured why not for like $7. Next we got Bloodsuckers from Outer Space. Haven't seen this one before. Always heard about this one. Been meaning to pick it up. I was thinking about picking it up at Cinema Wasteland because the director was there, but he was and I was gonna get a copy off at the Vinegar Syndrome booth when I was there, but they didn't have any. He had copies at his table, and he was signing them for like $30. And by the time I really paid attention and realized who he was and looked at what he had on his table, I only had about $15 left. So I was like, well, shit, I guess I'm not getting that. But still, I've been meaning to see this one for a while. This is from what I've read, a rather interesting low-budget kind of film. I think it's shot in Texas, or it's based in Texas. I know that. With like people being turned into kind of zombie vampires. Why not? Next is Prey. This is a Norman J. Warren film. Norman J. Warren, for those of you who don't know, directed Satan's Slave, which is a movie I reviewed on my channel and really liked. He also directed Bloody New Year, another movie I also reviewed on my channel, and I like that one a bit. And he directed Inseminoid, which is a Alien ripoff from the 70s, or from the 80s, I think, that I really liked. And this is his science fiction film from the late 70s. This is one I've been meaning to pick up and see for quite a while. I have the release of the other Norman J. Warren film from Vinegar, Terror, which is a kind of British supernatural giallo film. This is actually a pretty cool movie. Surprisingly, it's so far that's the best movie from Norman J. Warren I've seen, but maybe Prey will become the best, because I've heard some things about Prey. This is like a alien movie that involves an alien with like the face of a dog or something, and there's lesbians and gore, so I'm down with that. Got the Ice Cream Man. As you can see, I've already flipped most of these to the alternate art, but the Ice Cream Man with Clint Howard. This is a movie from my teenage to early late childhood, early teenage years that I really loved, and I still love it to this day. It's a fun, cheesy, pretty bad but enjoyable little slasher flick about a murderous ice cream man played by Clint Howard. I know that they were trying to find funding for a sequel, and they never got the funding, which sucks, because I would have liked to see a sequel to this, even if it was awful. What's interesting about this movie is that, this movie exists, and it's this weird, unhinged, kind of comedic, low-budget slasher, and the director of this movie, who also directed the legendary meme porno film fucking Edward Penis Hands, he pretty much spent his entire career directing porn. And this is the only non-pornographic movie he ever did, was Ice Cream Man with Clint Howard. This is very bizarre to me, and I think it's not just a thing that's bizarre to me. I think that this is something that most people probably think is really fucking bizarre. But yeah, Ice Cream Man. If you haven't seen that, let me tell you, you're missing out. Oh, okay. Disco Godfather with Rudy Ray Moore. This is one of the last, Rudy Ray Moore blaxploitation films from the 70s. This is the last one in the, unofficial Dolomite series, even though the only Dolomite movies are Dolomite and Human Tornado, and any of the ones that came after that are advertised as Dolomite movies aren't Dolomite movies. Either way, Disco Godfather, this was the only one I'm missing, and this is the only one I've yet to see. And so far, there hasn't been a bad entry in the series. I'm hoping that this one continues in surprising and just being straight up fun. Next, I got Pigs. This is a Vinegar release of a Trauma film from back in the day. I haven't seen this movie in over 3 years, since I first saw it in high school. And yeah, I remember this being a pretty interesting kind of slasher film, I guess. Slasher psychological horror film. Has to do with a woman who Meets a becomes friends with a guy who was a circus performer, and he has a bunch of pigs that he feeds people to. Something like that. I don't remember much. I just bought it because I was like, yeah, I remember liking pigs. I should buy the Blu-ray. Next, we get into some of these slipcovers I bought. Got Disconnected. This is a movie from the director of Psychos in Love, which I have the Blu-ray from Vinegar of Psychos in Love. As you can see, I peeled off the Psychos in Love sticker because I saw it said I hate grapes under that, and I kind of wanted that to be visible. So yeah, there's the slipcover for Psychos in Love, which is limited to 2,000. This one is also limited to 2,000. This is the director of Psychos in Love. This is his first movie. It is a very weird kind of psychological horror, surreal, oddball, disjointed as hell slasher film about a woman receiving obscene phone calls, essentially. Yeah, I don't know what to say about Disconnected. This is a movie that I found myself scratching my head as I was watching, yet at the same time I found myself strangely glued to the screen and enjoying quite a bit. Alright, next we got Body Melt. This is another one I saw this one years ago in high school, and I rewatched it recently, and this is a movie I actually enjoy quite a bit. Love this fucking slipcover, though. Like, holy hell am I happy this has a Blu-ray release in the US. I remember it being worse in high school, actually, so I'm happy that it's actually a pretty good film upon rewatching it. Got the Cutting Class limited edition slipcover, because, you know, there were like 5 different slipcovers for this, and I'm just like, you know, I'm gonna go with the one that I liked the most, which was the Axe one. Cutting Class is an early Brad Pitt kind of slasher whodunit comedy from the late 80s. Never seen it before. I know this is like the first time the uncut version's been available in America, so I figured, you know, why not grab it? It's limited, and I've been wanting to see it for a while anyway. And the last title from Vinegar is one of their Black Friday surprise releases, which I was actually kind of surprised that this title was going to be on there. I expected the surprise title to be Satan's Slave under the title Evil Heritage, because I know one of the hints was that the movie ends and begins with the same letter, and it turned out to be Mausoleum, which I've never seen, and I didn't want to, you know, bite the bullet on. But this movie, the other one I had seen, I'm talking about The Children. This is a movie I saw in high school and adored. I haven't seen it since high school, and I've been looking for a reason to buy a copy of it, but I was like, you know what, I'll just kind of wait it out. And thankfully, there's now a Blu-ray release of The Children. This is a wild kind of zombie flick about zombie children. Yeah. Well, I guess we'll get on to the shirts and shit now. I bought some shirts from Hot Topic. Not that I shop at Hot Topic regularly, but there were some shirts there that were on sale that I really liked. So, yeah. Bought a bunch of Junji Ito collection t-shirts. Junji Ito being a manga artist I really like. This is one of the shirts, which I think this character is featured in quite a few of his stories. I think his name is Soichi. I'm probably fucking wrong. But yeah, this kid is like a kid who performs black magic rituals and shit. It's, you know, whatever. This shirt is the one that I'm actually really happy to get my hands on. It's the Melting Face shirt, which it's got some text on the back, which I cannot read because I do not read Japanese. The last shirt is another one that I actually know absolutely fucking nothing about. In all honesty, I think this imagery looks kind of familiar, but I mainly bought it because it looked cool. This one, which I don't wear white shirts too often, but it looked cool enough, and I was gonna get the shirt of Tomy, but the Tomy shirt they didn't have it in my size. So yeah. All right, we're going places. Next is the issue 2 of Maniac, you know, VHS edition. I'm not going to dwell on this too long, but it's a very, very good issue. This is the issue where it finally crosses over with the New York Ripper, and it's going to be a, you know, New York Ripper versus Frank Zito kind of thing. Got this Maniac pin of Frank holding the shotgun. It's autographed and numbered from Eibon Press as well. I bought this book. This wasn't a Black Friday thing. This is just something I randomly bought. It's Holy Shit, the World's Weirdest Comic Books. This is a book of like some of the absolute weirdest fucking comics I have ever seen in my entire life, honestly. Like there is some serious shit in here. I know there's like one in here that's like about a girl who loves Nazis. Yeah, here we go. The girl who loved the swastika. This is fucking awful. But yeah, interesting read so far. And then as for vinyl related stuff, I bought this from Vinegar Syndrome. It is a vinyl turntable slip mat, because, you know, you need one of these if you're going to run your turntable, and I figured why not? It's cheap. I got this copy of the first album from Death, Scream Bloody Gore. This is a repress of the album from, I think it's from this year. But it is in a royal blue color. I'm trying to like get the color real good on camera. But yeah, it's like a royal blue color. The art on the paper center of the, you know, of the disc is very nice. It's nice album. Not necessarily, honestly, the worst album from Death, in my opinion, but it's still a really good album in its own right, and it's an album I figured why not grab for like 22 bucks. And finally, also from Hot Topic, I bought a couple of these Eddie Iron Maiden blind box figures, which can't really get the detail too well on those, but you know, that one I don't care about too much. This one I'm really into, of fucking Power Slave, fucking Pharaoh Eddie. That I can get into, because Power Slave is it used to be one of my favorites, but it's still an album I really enjoy, and I love fucking ancient Egypt shit, so you know, it's always cool. Always cool. But yeah, that is it for this huge ass fucking Black Friday haul. Anyway guys, this is Biscuit Boo, Horror Reviews, signing off. Peace.